I'm Clark Crawford, and welcome back to the latest edition of Clark Crawford Sports. We've got Astros baseball talk here on my YouTube channel, as I've had all season long for the 2024 MLB season. And it's another episode where, I've got a lot to share, and let's get it started right away with a couple of Astros roster moves that happened today before the game in Oakland, which it's also going to be the Astros' last time going to the Oakland Coliseum, with the A's moving to Vegas in the coming years, and they'll play their next couple of years in a minor league ballpark in Sacramento. So nonetheless, the Astros roster moves before we get into your Astros versus Mariners series recap and the Astros versus A's series preview. So up on the screen, like I have, Aledmus Diaz. Yes, I mentioned it a couple of videos ago. The Astros claimed Aledmus Diaz off of waivers, and he has been added to the active roster as it was reported he would be. We just did not know exactly how soon it would be. Aledmus Diaz added to the active roster, and Greg Hessinger, as they said, he would be sent down. Well, he's been sent to Sugarland, and the other roster move is David Hensley has been designated for assignment. Yes, David Hensley, the one that was on the Astros 2022 World Series champion roster. So David Hensley gone. If nobody claims him, I expect he will find his way back to AAA Sugarland. So that's the first roster move of the day. Catching you up on the roster moves if you haven't already heard. And the second one, he began a rehab assignment over the weekend. And, good news, he didn't suffer a setback like several Astros have on rehab assignments and different scenarios of, you think they're going to come back and they're not close, yada, yada, yada. The Astros have reinstated catcher Victor Caratini from the 10-day IL to make room for Caratini on the active roster. Unfortunately, Cesar Salazar was sent to AAA Sugarland. It's unfortunate, but the Astros have decided not to carry three catchers, at least for the time being. Maybe not until rosters expand in September from 26 to 28. I could definitely see Salazar being called up then. But thank you, Cesar Salazar. You were a godsend when you were up. And honestly, I didn't expect Salazar to be sent down because he's not the most deserving of a demotion, not even close to the most deserving. The guy who I was hoping would get sent down to get rid of some of the logjam of the outfield, but I guess he's just going to be a fifth or sixth outfielder right now, and that's Chas McCormick. He's having an awful season, unfortunately for Chas, but he's the odd man out in the outfield right now, and I think it would be more beneficial, at least in my opinion, to have Cesar Salazar on the roster instead of Chas McCormick. But the Astros think otherwise, at least for right now, and maybe once Kyle Tucker sometime in the next month comes back from this gruesome injury, whatever's going on there, that maybe that's when Chas McCormick finally bites the dust and gets sent to the minor leagues where he truly belongs right now. But he's still with the Astros right now, so if Chas enters any games, best of luck to him and whatnot. But Chas McCormick, as of right now, we really need you to figure things out. So that brings you to your Astros versus Seattle Mariners series recap. Round kicked off the second half of the season as the Astros won 3-0 against the Seattle Mariners on Friday night. Hunter Brown goes 6 innings, picks up his 8th win of the year, 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks, as the Astros find a way to win this 3-0. As I mentioned, Yainer Diaz, the offensive hero of this game, as he singled to right with the bases loaded in the 3rd inning, as Altuve and Bregman score on the play, and that would be enough for the Astros to win this game. Luis Castillo was good for the Seattle Mariners. Unfortunately, they have one of the bottom 3 offenses in the league. He goes 7 innings, 3 runs, all of them earned, with 3 strikeouts himself. He's 8-10 on the season. And the Astros, they only picked up a total of 6 hits in this game, but they find a way to win because, when you shut out your opponent, typically you win games. I mean, obviously, as long as you can score a couple runs, but shutouts are good. And Josh Hader in this one picks up his 19th save. It was good all-around win for the team. And at the time, the Astros moved into a virtual tie of first place with the Mariners, percentage points ahead of them. So they were, like I said, percentage points ahead of the Seattle Mariners in the battle for first place. That takes us to Saturday night's game, where Framber Valdez versus George Kirby was one heck of a pitcher's duel for the most part. The Astros win the game 4-2. George Kirby goes 6 innings, giving up 1 run. It was earned with 6 strikeouts. Framber Valdez, we got pretty good Framber, not great. He had 4 walks in this one, 6 strikeouts, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs. Joe Espada, I'm going to give him a tip of the cap in this one. Framber throws 100 pitches, and he pulled him at just the right time, bringing in Taylor Scott to get the final out of that 6th inning, and Taylor Scott picks up the win in this one, going a third of an inning. He only throws 4 pitches, but the Astros respond for 2 in the 7th, which I'll get to here in a minute. Taylor Scott picks up his 7th win of the year. And offensively in this one, Pena's hustle in the 4th inning on an infield single scores Alex Bregman. The Astros go up 1-0. Julio Rodriguez hits one out in left field, 382 feet off of Framber to knock him out of the game. A couple batters later, Seattle led 2-1. And then Jake Meyers, the Astros get their revenge on Ryan Stanek, who had a save against them earlier in the season when in the series where Seattle took 3 out of 4 against the Astros earlier this year in Seattle. But the Astros get revenge on Stanek this time. Jake Meyers rips one to right field that goes over the fence for a 2-run shot after, like I said, Stanek got his revenge on his former team earlier in the year. And the Astros, oh, sweet it was. They get the win in this one. And some defensive highlights that need to be mentioned, as in the 8th inning, when Ryan Presley was on the mound, he owes a couple of outfielders in this one some steak dinners or whatever dinners they prefer because, well, Joey Loperfido makes a great catch to end the 8th inning, robbing Mitch Garver of extra bases with a diving catch on the warning track headed towards the corner in left field. And right before that, a couple batters earlier, Trey Cabbage robs Julio Rodriguez of a home run right at the wall in right field, and then he does his celebratory pose, and that was sick as it is. That was fantastic. His no-fly zone pose of, oh, I just stole one away from you, and Trey Cabbage with the savage pose. The Astros win this game, as I mentioned, 4-2, and that would give them the series win. And Yainer Diaz in the 8th inning also added an insurance run with a solo homer, not to take credit away from him. And then Josh Hader goes 1 inning, 2 strikeouts in his 20th save as an Astro this season. Fantastic game all around. Though, unfortunately, that moves us to Sunday, where Yordan Alvarez hits for the cycle, goes 4 for 4 with 2 runs scored, a solo home run, and 2 RBIs. But unfortunately, it was not enough as the Seattle Mariners take the finale of the series 6-4. Seth Martinez was not good in this one. 1 1/3, gives up a 3-run home run. 2 of them earned to him, 1 earned to Ronel Blanco. And unfortunately, the Astros dropped the game 6-4. Jeremy Pena hits a solo home run in this one, along with Yordan Alvarez's solo home run. And of course, you need to mention that Julio Rodriguez leads the game with some kind of ankle injury, crashing into the wall, trying to catch a ball hit by Yordan Alvarez. That would end up being a triple to help his cycle. Though the Seattle Mariners come in and win this one. Ronel Blanco, 5 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned, 5 strikeouts. Blanco was okay in this one. He was a little off, only giving up the 1 walk, but it felt like, not that there was too much traffic, but it felt he didn't have too many clean innings in this one, or really, if any, because Blanco, he just wasn't too sharp in this one, missing, having to throw a lot of pitches, 5 2/3, 100 pitches, just like Framber Valdez. Could have used a bit more length out of both of them, but it's not like the Astros had to blow through their bullpen yesterday. So other than maybe Seth Martinez, who throws 25 pitches in this one, the Astros bullpen should be ready to go for the series against the A's, which begins tonight. And one other note before I jump into Astros versus A's series preview is a little maybe potential future roster moves for the Astros. The Seattle Mariners have placed, after the game on yesterday, the Seattle Mariners have placed Ty France on outright waivers. Sources tell ESPN if he goes unclaimed, yada, yada, yada. So Ty France is on waivers now, with the Astros just calling up Aledmus Diaz. Even though Diaz has not been good, I went over his numbers last video. You can go check those out. And in my Astros first half report cards, go check that video out as well. Also, you feel free to like and comment down below. And of course, subscribe to my channel as we get into Astros baseball talk all season long. And I'll get into some NFL talk as well coming up here extremely, very, very soon. So the Astros, maybe they put in a waiver claim on Ty France, though, because I would like them to pick up Ty France, but because they just called up Aledmus Diaz, I think it's probably pretty unlikely they put in a claim for Ty France. Though I would love for them to put in a claim for Ty France and send him to AAA Sugarland and try to figure him out, because Ty France could be a valuable, cheap asset, a bat you call up late in the season that maybe can help you a little bit. But like I said, with the call-up of Aledmus Diaz, I think it's highly unlikely. Ty France, maybe you can fix him, maybe you don't, because clearly he needs some fixing. He's had arguably the worst year of his major league career. He's hitting right around 220. So just my 2 cents on Ty France. Maybe you go at him as a waiver claim, but then again, you just called up Aledmus Diaz and you're hoping to get something out of him, because the Astros don't have a lot of great pinch hitting options. As also, Aledmus Diaz is in the lineup for game 1 of this series playing first base. So that's another thing to note as we get into your Astros versus A's series preview. And here we go. The Houston Astros 52-47, first in the AL West by percentage points over the Mariners, versus the A's 39-62, fifth in the AL West. Now, something to note before I get into the series preview, or well, part of the series preview, the Astros are 10-6 in their last 16 games, and the A's are 9-6. So two teams that are pretty hot right now, and the A's also lead the MLB in runs scored this month. So their offense is red hot, and so we'll see who comes out on top. And the pitching matchup for game 1, Spencer Arrighetti, 4-7, a 5.63 ERA, 80 innings pitched, 93 strikeouts, versus left-handed pitcher Hogan Harris, 1-3, a 3.40 ERA, 46 hits and 35 strikeouts to his own. And then we'll get into their game logs, recent pitching for all the pitchers, starting pitchers in this series. And we start with Arrighetti. His last 3 times out in July, he has a 5.40 ERA this month. He went 4 innings against Toronto, 6 earned runs, 5 innings against Minnesota, 2 earned runs, and then 6 innings of 1 run ball against the Rangers. And, well, the Astros failed to win that game, unfortunately. Though Arrighetti, his last 2 starts have gone well. Just need to get him, hopefully, at least more consistently to that 6-inning plateau. And his strikeout numbers have been good as of late as well, averaging 6 over his last 3 games. So Spencer Arrighetti seems to be doing pretty well as of late. Hopefully he can continue it against the A's, even though they have a red-hot offense to their credit. Hogan Harris, his last couple outings, he went 5 innings against Baltimore in a loss to give him his 3rd loss of the year, 5 innings, 3 runs, 2 earned. And then in his last outing, 3 innings, 2 earned runs, and only 70 pitches thrown. So he's not giving them a lot of depth and not really an innings eater so far. So hopefully the Astros can jump on him and force the A's to really dig into their bullpen to start this series and get it kicked off on a good note for the series opener. As I mentioned, it's the last series for the Astros in the Oakland Coliseum as they're moving to Sacramento for a couple of years until their ballpark in Vegas is ready. So a little series recap of the 2 teams so far in 2024. The Astros won game 1, 9-2. Game 2, 2-1. Game 3, 3-0. Game 4, 8-1. Game 5, 6-3. The A's took game 6, 3-1. and the Astros took Game 7 5-2. So the Astros are 5-2, or excuse me, 2-1 in Oakland so far this year, and they are 6-1 against the A's this season in 2024. They need one more win to win the season series against the A's, though it'd be nice to sweep them or at least take 2 out of 3 at the bare minimum. In this series, they're 4-0 at home against the A's in 2024, and they are 2-1 on the road with 3 games remaining in this series. New pitching matchup of the series, Jake Bloss versus Osvaldo Bido. Jake Bloss 0-0 with a 4.70 ERA, 7 2/3, 6 strikeouts. And he'll go against Bido, who is 1-1 with the 3.44 ERA and 18 1/3 innings pitched, 16 strikeouts. So 2 inexperienced pitchers so far this season. That'll bring us to Jake Bloss in his 2 previous starts. 3 2/3 against Baltimore, 2 runs, 4 innings, 2 runs against the Marlins. His pitch counts have been high, so he has not yet entered the 5th inning of a game, though I've seen some positive things from Jake Bloss in his last game against the Marlins, 4 strikeouts in 4 innings. So hopefully Jake Bloss against the A's can use that fastball slider combination to get some more outs, and maybe he will get into a 5th inning, maybe throw a 5th inning for the first time in his major league career. He's still a young pitcher. He's probably going to get a couple more starts. As I mentioned in my last video coming out of the All-Star break, I presume he'll get at least 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 more starts, just depending on other Astros pitchers' health, and we'll see what happens there. Jake Bloss, I'm excited to see him pitch on Tuesday night. That's going to be an interesting one, 2 younger pitchers in this one. And that brings us to Osvaldo Bido's game logs. He went 1 inning against the Angels, 1 inning against Baltimore, 3 against Philadelphia, and 1 against the Angels. So I don't know for sure, but this is more or less looking like a bullpen game for the A's in Game 2, unless he can give them a bunch of length, though it looks doubtful. It looks like in his last 4 outings, 4th, 7th, 12th, and 19th, the highest pitch total he's gone has been 40 pitches. So that's something to keep an eye on. If the A's are truly going with the bullpen game, the Astros need to knock around Game 1 starter Hogan Harris and force the A's to get into their bullpen on Monday night and really shoot them in the foot for the rest of the series. So another thing to keep an eye on in this series, the A's have a hot offense, but is their bullpen and their starter link going to keep them from winning some of these games, because they might have some tired arms at the end of the series? Something, as I said, to keep an eye on for the games. And lastly, we move to Game 3 of the series, Hunter Brown versus J.P. Sears, probably the best pitching matchup of this series. Hunter Brown, 8-6, a 4.14 ERA, 104 1/3 innings pitched with 110 strikeouts. J.P. Sears, 7-7, a 4.49 ERA, 106 1/3 innings pitched with 80 strikeouts, not nearly the strikeout pitcher Hunter Brown is. And then here are some of the offensive numbers. Obviously, as we know, the last couple of years, the A's best hitter and a couple multi-time All-Star Brent Rooker, 22 homers, 294, and 67 RBIs is their offensive leader. It sounds like he's potentially on the trade block. Who's going to trade for him? I don't know. But those are some pretty darn good offensive numbers. Shoot, I'd love to have him here in Houston, but obviously that is highly unlikely. And of course, we all know as Astro fans, most of the numbers from the Astro side. Altuve continues to lead in batting average. Alvarez leads in home runs and RBIs, closely followed with RBIs closely. Yainer Diaz is right behind him on his tail. So that's something to keep an eye on, is will Yainer Diaz sometime soon take over the Astros RBI lead for the 2024 season, as Kyle Tucker unfortunately remains on the IL. That brings us to Hunter Brown, who's gone 11 consecutive starts of at least 6 innings. His last start, 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners in a win. He's picked up 3 wins in his last 4 starts. So let's see if he can go at least 6 innings in a 12th consecutive start. Hunter Brown has brought his season ERA down to 4.14, and his ERA over his last 4 and the last 24 innings is 3.38. And I'll take that any day out of a starting pitcher, a 3.38 ERA. That's rock solid. And hopefully Hunter Brown, after the start on Wednesday afternoon, can get his season ERA under 4 for the first time all season, other than obviously maybe your first 2 starts, but you don't really keep track of ERA big time until 4 or 5 starts in or 4 or 5 outings in. That brings us to JP Sears. He's won 3 consecutive starts, going 5 innings of no runs, 5 2/3 of 1 run, and 5 2/3 of 3 runs, 2 earned. He is a decent strikeout pitcher, 18 over his last 3. That's a 6 strikeout average. And, well, JP Sears is one of Oakland's better pitchers, as he is 7-7 on the year. He's a quality pitcher. So the Astros really are going to have to buckle down on Wednesday. And, of course, buckle down in this series against a red-hot Oakland A's team. And, they're 2 of the hottest teams in baseball over the past about 15 to 20 games. So 2 really good teams right now, as the Astros have a percentage points lead in the AL West, though they played 2 less games than Seattle. So if the Astros can win those 2 games when they don't play on the same game as Seattle, virtually that's all you got to do to not necessarily just win the division, but if you take those 2 games, that just lengthens your lead in the AL West, which is by percentage points right now. Just continue to take care of business, and the Astros will be okay. And, they'll win the division if they just take care of business and do what they need to do in this division. As after this series, they have the Dodgers coming up. So that's going to be an interesting series at Minute Maid Park coming up this weekend. That's going to do it here for the latest edition of Clark Crawford Sports here on YouTube. Like my video down below. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of the current Astros. Are they going to win the division? Are they going to make a big acquisition at the trade deadline? It's a little over a week away. And, of course, subscribe to my channel if you like my content and you want to see more of it. And, of course, I'll have some NFL videos coming up for you football fans, as I'm a football and baseball fan myself. So that's going to do it. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and I will have the next edition of Clark Crawford Sports on Friday for the Astros versus Dodgers series preview, and, of course, your Astros versus A's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series recap.